Hi, my name is Natasha Frakes. I'm the VP of Communications for Torq Resources. I've been in this role for about 5 years, and I can say without a doubt, the last year has been by far the most exciting. Not only did we make a brand new IOCG discovery at one of our projects in Chile, but we also started surface work at a project with multiple historical discoveries on it, and that project is what earned us a $15 million investment from Gold Fields last year. I will be making some forward-looking statements, so keep that in mind. Our portfolio of projects was established with the mindset of finding underexplored properties of land on established belts. These properties have been on the radar of our Chilean exploration team for the last 15 plus years. Santa Cecilia, that's the project with the historical discoveries on it, the project that caught the eye of Gold Fields. It is immediately adjacent to Newmont and Barrick's Norte Abierto project with over 1.5 kilometers of vertical mineralization that has not been followed up on. That is the project that we will be drilling by the end of this quarter. Our Margarita project, that's where we made our brand new discovery, an IOCG discovery. And our Andrea project on the El Indio belt, I'm not going to get into that too much, but this project is between the Pascua and El Indio mines, and we think there is a potential for a copper porphyry to exist on that property. Taking a look at our capital structure, we have high insider ownership. We have about 100 million shares outstanding, and our cash position is at about $15 million. The majority of that from that Gold Fields investment that was at $1 in September. Taking a look at our team, we have Sean Wallace, our CEO. He was a part of Caden Resources and Keegan Resources, which both generated significant return for their shareholders. Michael Henriksen, our chief geologist, formerly the structural geologist at Newmont, and Waldo Quadra. He is our head of operations in Chile, and he brought us the projects that we now have in our portfolio, the projects that he's been keeping an eye on while he's been a part of major mining companies in Chile and a part of major discoveries in that country. So without his network of connections, we wouldn't have the projects that we now have. So when you look at this, we have a strong management team, strong technical team that has a track record of doing this time and time again. Couldn't go without talking about copper. There's obviously a lot of people excited about copper at this conference. If you are looking at the impending copper crunch with the lack of discoveries that have been made, we're one of the few new copper discoveries over the last decade. And the fact that the demand keeps on rising for electric vehicles, I mean, copper's in our phones, it's in the electric wires in this building, then a brand new copper discovery is a great way to gain some exposure. Santa Cecilia, it's located in the Maricunga Belt. This is the property that I mentioned that Gold Fields invested in us for. This project is immediately adjacent to Newmont and Barrick's Norte Abierto project, which consists of 50 million ounces of gold and 13 billion pounds of copper. But this is not just an area play. There was some historical work that was completed on this property. Majority of it was done 30 years ago. And that work, though it was minimal, it was very significant. The majority of the drilling was done in the center of the project. There are 47 holes drilled at the Cerro del Medio target, and that was conducted in the late 80s by a major mining company. When you look at this image, you can see there are some outlines, blue outlines. We think that those are porphyry bodies leading toward that Caspiche deposit owned by Newmont and Barrick, which is bumping up immediately against our property. Here is a look at the target in the center of the property where the majority of the work was done in the late 80s. At the top, you can see there's an oxide gold system that was beginning to be defined. So grades like 0.43 grams per ton gold equivalent over 256 meters. When this major mining company was there in the late 80s and gold was around $400, this was not interesting. But when we look at it now, this is definitely worth pursuing, especially given our neighbors. What that major mining company didn't do in the late 80s is they didn't drill any deeper holes to see if there was potentially copper below that oxide gold system. So 22 years later, in 2012, the private owner of the property drilled a deep hole and he hit 925 meters of 0.45% copper equivalent. So that is an epithermal and porphyry system telescoping into 1.5 kilometers of continuous vertical mineralization that has never been followed up on. We will be the first exploration company to follow up on these intercepts. After the private owner drilled that deep hole and realized that there is copper mineralization below the gold system, he conducted a geophysical survey across the entire property, and that's the big purple blob that you're seeing. That is a low resistivity anomaly that has a 1-to-1 correlation with porphyry mineralization. And when we head east on the property towards that Caspiche deposit, there are 2 additional geophysical signatures exactly the same, and they are completely untested. So there are multiple large untested opportunities for copper porphyry mineralization on this property. In addition, when you go to the west side of the main hill where all the work has been done, the major mining company that was there in the late 80s, they also tunneled into the side of that hill, and they hit a high-grade gold and silver system. So grades like 19 grams per ton gold equivalent over 6 meters, including 58 grams per ton gold equivalent over 2 meters. Really high grade. This is not the main target that we will be going after at this project, but it provides a potential economic lever at some point when this project may hopefully be developed. So upcoming for Santa Cecilia, we have a 7-year agreement on this property for social access, and we just recently got boots on the ground, so we're conducting all of our surface work to build on the historical data and to define drill targets for our inaugural drill program on the project, which we're anticipating to begin by the end of this quarter. We will pause for the winter season, then we'll continue drilling again at the end of this year in October. Now to Margarita, where we made our brand new IOCG discovery. We hit 90 meters of 0.94% copper and 0.84 grams per ton gold. And then in a second program, we hit 98 meters of 0.94 grams per ton gold and 0.68% copper. This project is about an hour drive from Copiapó. From an infrastructure standpoint, it's a dream. It's low elevation. That's one of the things that was appealing to us. Little did we know that in our first drill program we would make a discovery. So we've defined an 800-meter long system, mineralized structure that is where both of our discovery holes are. But we've also identified additional targets on the property that have almost identical characteristics to what we're seeing in our discovery holes. So there are multiple undrilled targets on this project, and now we will be going back in the summer to follow up on these. The whole theory behind this project was that there was oxide gold mineralization in the southwest corner, and we were trying to target the sulfide source to that mineralization, and we did. We hit the sulfide source. So not only do we have this 800-meter mineralized structure, it's intersected by a second structure that is also mineralized, and then we have additional untested targets. So upcoming for Margarita, we have geochemical survey results that are pending. We're doing an IP survey on the project, and that will help to produce targets for our drill program in the summer. So now that we have made a brand new discovery, we have access to our Santa Cecilia project. This year is going to be all about drilling. We'll be starting to drill at the end of this quarter at Santa Cecilia, and from then on, the drills won't stop turning. It will be drilling at Santa Cecilia up until the summer, pause for the winter there, and while it's winter, we'll go to Margarita where the elevation is lower and we can drill there. So we'll be generating results, catalysts all year round from drilling at these programs, and judging by the turnout at the conference, it looks like we might be lining up really well with the markets as well. Thank you so much.